If 2018 wasn't enough for you, and if the release of Aquaman didn't literally whet your appetite, 2019 is set to blow your mind. We here at Screen Rant have gone through the schedule of DC's slated releases for the big and small screens. Whether it's the DCEU, a Berlanti production, or a new series set for Fox or HBO, things will get as crazy as a crossover on Infinite Earths. Here are 25 DC movies and shows that will take 2019 up, and away. Want to know how he got those scars? We've been told many stories about the origins of the Joker, from the multiple explanations in the iconic Killing Joke comic to the current iteration on Fox's Gotham. However, now we'll be given a big screen treatment to a complete version of the Joker's start. Directed by The Hangover's Todd Phillips and produced by Martin Scorsese, this darkly comic take is inspired by Scorsese's 1982 film, The King of Comedy, and will show Joaquin Phoenix's rise in Gotham's 1980s underworld. You can color us excited. The Swamp Thing, an anthropomorphic beast that may be alter ego Alec Holland, or may just be a plant trying to take on the form of Alec Holland, has been exciting fans on the fringes for decades. Not since the 80s has his story been adapted in live action, but 2019 will bring the Swamp Thing to the small screen. Photos from Len Wiseman's Instagram show Crystal Reed as Abby Arcane, and another photo shows what can only be the swamp where our thing originates. Things in the DC world are about to get murky, in a good way. Although we have yet to find out whether this is straight to video or direct to the theaters, Teen Titans Go will receive a hotly anticipated follow-up to Teen Titans Go to the movies. This time in a team up against the 2003 anime versions of the Teen Titans. Fans these days seem rabid for as much time-bending cross-universe throwdowns, and this Teen Titans battle seems like it will be one for the record books. But which style will take precedence? The colorful and humorous Titans from Go, or the darker and more brooding 2003 ones? Speaking of Titans, here's a crossover that's sure to change DC's live-action game. Cyborg, who's mainly appeared on the many iterations of Teen Titans, is getting a new team in the form of Doom Patrol. This mashup is like the Addams Family of Super Friends, and the lineup for the TV series includes Robot Man, Crazy Jane, Negative Man, Elasti-Woman, and the Chief. Crazier than the characters is the assembled cast, which includes the likes of bigger names like Brendan Fraser, Matt Bomer, Timothy Dalton, Alan Tudyk, and April Bowlby. Batwoman! Batwoman is a newbie to the live-action adaptation game, since the Batman and Robin movie featured Alicia Silverstone as just a Batgirl, not yet a Batwoman. David Nutter, who knocked it out of the park with some famous Game of Thrones episodes on his resume, is directing the Batwoman pilot, and Ruby Rose is playing street-tough Kate Kane in the badass CW series. Her debut in the Arrow vs. Elseworlds event left fans wanting more, and the CW has answered. The first half of 2019 will complete the 16-episode second season of Black Lightning. And while it's too soon to make it official, Season 3 should be on the horizon for the fall. We're expecting to see an explosive confrontation between Black Lightning and crime lord Tobias Whale, regardless of who finds the runaway Jennifer and her ex-BF, Kal-El, first. While Black Lightning's universe is mostly self-contained, might we also be treated to a crossover in our future? As the fate of Freeland lies in the balance, expect some surprising twists and unexpected sacrifices this season. Following the semi-camp of Aquaman, Shazam might finally be the film to turn those DCEU frowns upside down. Let's face it, the DC film universe, for the most part, has a reputation for taking things a bit too seriously.
Save Martha!
But a film about a 14-year-old boy who turns into a buff Zachary Levi can't be all drama. Word on the street is, director David Sandberg's story about Billy Batson's alter ego is going to be a romp and a half. So by the end of 2019, if the world's getting us down, we might all be shouting Shazam! Speaking of fun, the Legends of Tomorrow have a monopoly on entertaining, super-powered time travel storylines. And they're back for the second half of their fourth season. Where the DCEU is still figuring out its tone, the Berlantiverse on CW knows its niche, and tends to stay true to the colorful worlds it sets up. Picking up where they last left off, this half-season will likely follow the team's efforts to rescue Constantine's partner from the demon Neron and thwart his shadowy hold over the US government. Will things get topical? Stay tuned to find out. Gotham is back again for the last time. This Bat Time, the series is due to close out with a final arc based on the popular storyline No Man's Land. With a similar conceit to Dark Knight Rises, Gotham finds itself isolated from the rest of the country, and young Bruce Wayne needs to take matters into his own hands in order to restore peace to his city. With Jim Gordon assuming the role of commissioner, a lot of events are expected to fall into place, so expect some of the series' many villains to return before the finale. Who watches The Watchmen? You! This year on HBO. With ironic the tagline, "Nothing ever ends," this self-aware marketing campaign could also work as a quote from Alan Moore complaining about another adaptation of one of his comics that he's sure to hate. He famously hates most of the movies based on his works. But since it's not TV, it's HBO, we'll probably love this show, set to follow the stories of Dr. Manhattan, Night Owl, Silk Spectre, Rorschach, and the Comedian in a way that won't just stick strictly to the original graphic novel. iZombie. It's not an app to help you locate your favorite cannibal restaurant. Instead, it's everyone's favorite undead coroner. And yes, the ironically named Liv Moore is back for more. Like Gotham, iZombie is returning to its 5th and final season, and hopefully we'll get a big Arrowverse crossover before it's all done. Until then, we'll just have to live off the small, sparing Veronica Mars Marvel connections that we get whenever Kristen Bell or Paul Rudd cameo as voices on the show. Krypton will be back for a new season. Sci-Fi Channel's premiere back in 2018 was the highest-rated new series on the channel, and that initial offering of Krypton introduced us to a new character, Seg-El, Superman's grandfather, created entirely for this new series to give us a taste of what Krypton was like before the planet's people became ignorant of its impending doom. In another first, this new season will introduce us to a live-action incarnation of classic Soup's villain, Lobo, the seemingly immortal bounty hunter. Obviously, both Flash and Arrow are back with new seasons, but after 2019, will they ever be the same? When Crisis on Infinite Earths happened to the DC Comics universe, it combined storylines and realigned every DC character's destiny. This Arrowverse version promises to do the same, with the appearances of the Monitor and visual nods to comic book covers, like the image of Superman holding a motionless Supergirl. We're in for an explosive crossover. Will all characters exist on the same Earth? Will Arrow survive? And if he doesn't, will it mark the end of the series? In 1992, the death of Superman's story arc was so huge, there were obituaries in real-world newspapers. Nowadays, fans still remember the storyline as a months-long event that led to the reign of the Superman. After 2018's animated adaptation of Death of Superman, it's only natural for the animated reign of the Supermen to follow. Steel, Superboy, the Eradicator, and the Cyborg Superman will all wreak havoc on Metropolis before the true Superman returns. And it's all happening in a limited theatrical release and a nearly simultaneous video release. But enough about Gotham and Metropolis. Let's go to space with Stargirl! And who better to take us into the stars than Geoff Johns? Getting his start with Superman the movie director Richard Donner, Johns has gone on to become a creative head honcho with DC. And he's been working on writing the DCEU's storytelling ship. With a unique origin story, Stargirl's alter ego, Courtney Whitmore, becomes a hero when her new stepdad reveals himself to be a former superpowered sidekick. AMC is the epitome of prestige television, and they've been the perfect home for the profane and profound Preacher. With insane violence and insane insanity, Preacher's power to compel any listener to do as he commands has commanded us to keep watching, and we can't help but wonder what he, Tulip, and Cassidy will be up to in Season 4. We're hoping the next season continues the trend of the most recent episodes, which IGN lauded as making our heroes feel more vulnerable than ever. On the other end of the spectrum, but equally irreverent, is Lucifer. With American Gods on the books and Good Omens set for a 2019 release, Neil Gaiman has had quite a few good years for adaptations. Lucifer, loosely based on the character from Gaiman's Sandman graphic novels, had a good 3-season run on Fox. It's now passed on to Netflix, which means that maybe the show can stretch its storytelling muscles beyond the supernatural police procedural that started out as. We'll see what new tunes this piano-playing devil can play. Back on the animated front, we're looking forward to Wait for it, Batman, hush. Yes, the hotly anticipated cartoon adaptation of the popular Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee storyline is coming in 2019. And no, Hush does not tell the story of Batman facing off against an irate librarian, but a villain who seems to know everything about the Caped Crusader. More importantly, Batman Hush will reunite the character with voice actor Kevin Conroy, who played Batman and Bruce Wayne in the classic Batman the Animated Series. Thanks to some dedicated fans, Young Justice lived to fight another day. The DC Universe subscription service decided to bring the series back for a third season. Much like the 2003 animated Justice League series, Young Justice Outsiders was more likely to attract an older audience than the younger viewers the network was looking for. Thanks to a potent storyline involving the team's rescue of trafficked metahumans, Young Justice Outsiders will keep our attention with a release schedule of 3 episodes every Friday, starting in January, and then a back-end release of the remaining episodes in June. Fans waiting for that standalone Harley Quinn movie starring Margot Robbie will have to wait a little longer. Fans of the animated Harley Quinn, however, can start partying! Harley Quinn will get her own animated series on DC's new streaming service. Voiced by Kaley Cuoco, the show will feature a star-studded lineup of friends and foes. It has a humorous bent that seems to fall more in the Deadpool style and follows Quinn's attempts to go solo after a breakup with the Joker. Wait till we get a load of her! More villains are set to be showcased in Justice League vs. the Fatal Five. In this animated movie, the first feature-length film to be launched in DC's new streaming service, will have Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and the rest do battle against bad guys from the future. The Fatal Five promise to be the Justice League's match, and the date for the upcoming showdown is set to be the summer of 2019. With Kevin Conroy back as Batman and Tom Kenny of SpongeBob fame voicing one of the villains, things are going to get interesting fast. The spring will bring girl power to the DC Universe with DC Superhero Girls. To keep the team relatable, this animated series will feature the girls balancing their crime-fighting routine with their daily lives as high school students. The butt-kicking team's made up of the following members: Batgirl, Bumblebee, Jessica Cruz, a Green Lantern, Supergirl, Wonder Woman, and Zatanna. And with showrunner Lauren Faust, who used to manage the My Little Pony creative team, DC Superhero Girls is in good hands and knows its target audience. A lot happened to Supergirl in 2018, and 2019 promises to take the tension up a notch. Whether she exposed the evils of Agent Liberty to the world or faced expulsion from the United States' Department of Extranormal Operations, there's a lot to wrap up. Yet the creative team behind Supergirl is planning on amping up the action by confronting Supergirl with a clone of herself from Russia, and a meeting with Lex Luthor. Plus, whatever happens during the Arrowverse's adaptation of the Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline. With all the hype around Gal Gadot's live-action Wonder Woman, we're going to have to wait a little longer before her follow-up, Wonder Woman 1984. On the other hand, we'll be able to pass the time with Wonder Woman Bloodlines. This animated film, featuring an original story, is also the first cartoon movie that Wonder Woman will have headlined in a decade. The storyline is under wraps, and it's surprising that an animated film is being released so close to the live-action sequel. But maybe that's because the two films are connected. At number 25, we give you what might be the most exciting story in development: Pennyworth. Alfred Pennyworth. Pennyworth tells the story of Alfred's life in Britain before his full-time service at Wayne Manor. The series is expected to follow the future butler as he worked his way through the 1960s, in the same way James Bond worked his way through martinis and into exotic hotel rooms. Set to air on the Epix network, this series will be an adult and action-packed take on a character we least expected to be so smooth and cool. What else are you looking out for in 2019? Do you think there's other twists and turns lurking just under our radar? Let us know in the comments section below, and be sure to click the subscribe button and join our notification squad to stay up to date on everything your favorite franchises will have to offer. We have more details on the Super Friends than a Batcave supercomputer, so stick around when our vision is 2020. See you next time.